Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to talk about this. We're going to be talking about the Hex documentary. The trailer that was released for the Hex documentary came out last week, and I've been wanting to talk about this, but I have been busy. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Crypto Wealth. I believe in the future of cryptocurrency, and I believe this technology is going to change the world. One thing about my channel is I oftentimes discuss the pros and cons of cryptocurrency projects, even projects that I believe in. Hex is a project that I'm invested in, and I am very optimistic about the future of Hex. But the reason that I'm optimistic is a little bit different than a lot of people. However, I want to talk about this Hex documentary, and I want to talk about what's going on with it because I believe this documentary has opened itself up for incredible criticism. But with that being said, I'm very excited about the documentary at the same time. It looks like it's going to be done really, really well, and I can't wait for it to come out. But it looks like it's not even going to get released till a year from now, which I don't fully understand why it's going to take so long. I don't understand why it takes a year. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Let's go ahead and get started in the video. I'll pause it periodically just to give you kind of my thoughts of what's going on. Let's get with it.
This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, every scammer in the world is going to tell you something similar, but in this case, you are actually going to have regret.
Keep going. I do think it's a little bit cringeworthy that he starts out showing himself shooting at an indoor gun range. I think that a lot of people aren't comfortable with guns, and I think from a kind of a social standpoint, if you're trying to create mass awareness, whoever decided to start from this angle, I don't think it starts out painting Richard Heart or Hex in the right light. But where he moves into coming up, you're going to see him sit down in a hotel room and kind of start an interview. And that is where I think this whole documentary takes a very positive turn and looks really, really good. Let's keep going. By the way, I'll link this documentary, I'll link this video down in the description.
I mean, you're scamming everyone. Richard Heart, he's got a history of being called the spam master.
There's some weird things going on with his coins.
Making one of the biggest Ponzi schemes that we have ever seen.
By the way, this right here, just so you know, if you're not familiar with this, Richard Heart has done so many live streams. So many people in the crypto space he has dismantled. For all the pros and cons, you can argue about everything you want to criticize. You can argue about how ugly his background is and how strange it is. You can argue about all that stuff, and I can even agree with you if you said that. Some of the best crypto YouTube I have ever watched have watched people be unable to articulate toe-to-toe with Richard Heart. Peter McCormick, he reduced that man to just screaming, scammer, 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 scammer. If I can find that video, I'll link it above, and I'll put it down in the description. It's one of the most entertaining, interesting things I've ever seen in crypto. But at the same time, it made someone who is widely considered to be a positive figure in the crypto space, mainstream crypto space, it just made him look so pathetic and so thin-skinned. Richard Heart has really taken a lot of heat head on, and he's invited all these people on his channel, and it's fascinating to see on his live streams when he's done those debates that people just are not able to articulate with him, debate with him, whatever you want to say.
Hex coin is 1,000% a scam coin.
One of the challenges with Hex is when a lot of people critique it, they don't even understand what they're critiquing. Like, they want to critique one aspect. I think there's room to critique Hex. Like, I have critiqued it on my channel. I'll talk to you about it towards the end of the video. Even though I'm invested in it, I'm invested in it because I understand the downside, and I think there's some acceptable risk to the downside. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But when you hear people criticize it, and they're criticizing it, and they don't even understand the basic mechanics of the project, you know, it just makes you nauseated.
People are going to lose money because of you.
Remember all the haters? All the haters that told you that I was a scammer and Hex was a scam? I got bad news for the haters. We're making new all-time highs where everything else is.
This is where this documentary takes an epic upturn. Like, I almost wish it started right there with them saying, remember all the haters? Like, I wish it started there because I think that it's awesome from here.
Getting wrecked. Price is up 4,000 or 5,000 fold in 600 days.
I've made enough money in the last week that I could buy a house in cash.
I would never have to work another day in my life.
I'm here to shill. I want to change the world, and I can only do that if people participate.
I'm here to shill. I want to change the world. Keep that in mind.
The only thing that matters in this world is goods and services. Everything else is accounting. And our made-up imaginary internet money is better than the government's made-up imaginary internet.
Amen. Our made-up, people talk about what gives Bitcoin value, what gives Hex value. Our made-up imaginary internet money is way better than the government's money.
Internet money. Both of them are only backed by the shared fiction of the humans believing that they have value.
People would love to argue with that statement. I think it's a perfect statement.
If Hex is a religion, then Richard is God.
I'm in crypto for glory. I want to have the best cryptocurrency that's ever existed. I want to have the best.
I want you to listen to this carefully. This is one of the reasons I'm invested in Hex. He says, I'm in this for glory. I want to have one of the best cryptocurrencies that has ever existed. He's created Hex, a cryptocurrency poised to create more wealth than the world has ever seen. Now, mind you, this statement is a little forward-looking, and this documentary is not even poised to be released until next year, a year from now. But my assumption is they expect for this to be in the documentary. If this is going to get released next year, then Hex needs to continue to perform well through the next year. How in the world could they help make certain that Hex performed well? Well, stay tuned. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm giving you some hints on what I like about the project.
Then Richard is God.
I'm in crypto for glory. I want to have the best cryptocurrency that's ever existed. I want to have the best performing asset that's ever existed.
Just so you know, he's not far from having the best cryptocurrency that's ever existed. If you look at the market cap of Hex, it's actually ranked number 3. CoinMarketCap is artificially freezing it at 201. But if you actually look at the market cap is ranked number 3, just underneath Ethereum. And if we have a bear market, the rate that Hex is going, it's not long before we flip Ethereum. In fact, if we go into a full bear market, it is possible that Hex is within range of flipping Bitcoin. Now, as crazy as that sounds, this almost obscure cryptocurrency that most of the world in crypto doesn't even know about, flipping Bitcoin, just the mere possibility of that makes it a very interesting play.
And so I think of blockchain as like the internet. In the 90s, everyone thought the internet was just for email.
Can we just point out her laugh?
As like the internet. In the 90s, everyone thought the internet was just for email.
What is up with that?
I bought some this morning.
They're imaginary quarters. Like, it's like playing Monopoly.
I put it all in.
Honey, they're not imaginary quarters. It's cryptocurrency.
I went
Like, all what?
all over house money.
This is a force that is not going to go away. The cryptocurrency is not going away. And at some point, the people that you met that you thought were crazy loon birds, they're going to be in the 1%, and they're going to be the people that own half everything.
All right, so let's just talk about this documentary for a moment. First of all, it's very well done. Can we just get that out there? I think it's going to be interesting. I've actually shared this trailer with a couple of people. When you hear Richard Hart say that he wants to have the greatest cryptocurrency in the world, he's here for glory. I mean, that sort of narcissistic statement that he makes, let's face it, he's already done something extraordinary. I mean, if you come over here on Nomics, right now Hex is sitting at 45 cents. Back in January, it was at a penny. Last year, it was like 0.00005 or something crazy. If you look at the actual market cap, we are 130 billion away from Ethereum. That's crazy. If Ethereum was to pull back by about a third, if it was to go back to 2000, Hex would flip Ethereum. It's insane if you stop and think about it. And if you look, that Hex right now has a quarter of the market cap of Bitcoin, or just over a quarter of the market cap of Bitcoin. I think that is crazy. If this isn't an extraordinary accomplishment, I don't know what is. Now, here's the challenge. This documentary is expected to get released within a year. Clearly, they expect the cryptocurrency Hex to continue to go up over the course of the year. How can they ensure that, or how can every time Bitcoin Hex drops significantly, there's a Godwell that keeps buying, and it kind of helps support the price, and it has helped support the price a lot. So when there's been a dip, there's been a Godwell that has come in often, and it looks like it's happening here again. And it's hard to say, it's hard to predict, it's hard to know exactly who's doing it. Plenty of people think that it could be Richard Hart. I do believe that as well, and I believe that's mainly why Hex has succeeded. If you look at every project out there, if you look at Rex, for example, I'll put a link above. I talked about that the other day. And there's other, the Wise token. There's several tokens out there. The biggest difference is those tokens didn't have a developer that was willing to use an origin address to support the project. Richard Hart has recycled Hex through the origin address, or recycled Ethereum into Hex through the origin address, and there's a Godwell that seems to buy up Hex. What does that mean? A lot of people see it as a problem. I see it as a problem if it goes on forever. But at the same time, I think that that's exactly why this project is possibly going to succeed long term. I mean, I'm banking on it succeeding because right now there's a community that believes in the project. And I believe that Richard Hart really has, and I'm assuming it's Richard. I have no proof that it's Richard. He's never admitted to it really in any way, shape, or form. He knows better than to do that. So when I say it's Richard Hart, I'm just making that assumption. But I believe that this project is going to succeed because he's willing it to succeed. And I believe that now the community is behind it. And I think that if they're not there yet, the community is going to support this project long term with or without Richard. Of course, the community would love to say, oh, that's FUD. The community doesn't need Richard. It's self-sufficient, that sort of thing. Yes, I know. But Richard Hart or someone else that is a Godwell, there's one wallet that has continued to buy Hex every time the price drops significantly. It could be someone who just believes in the future, but the same Godwell keeps making 555 stakes every time. So yes, it could be Richard, it could be someone else. The point being, whoever that Godwell is, the project would not have succeeded at this point without that Godwell. Let's go back to this documentary because I find this interesting. If you come look at this documentary, you come over here, let's look at the company behind the documentary. So what you're really looking at is kind of a filmmaking PR firm is what it looks like, is what it appears to me. And that's not a bad thing. Supposedly, maybe he said it on a live stream, someone said that Richard said that he didn't reach out to these people, that they reached out to him. Somebody talked to him about wanting to do this project, and he agreed to do the project, but it has nothing to do with him. What's interesting, if you come down here, they're basically asking for you to donate to the film. Register for film credit. So they want you to donate in ETH, Hex, or USDC. And then if you donate, you'll be able to get your name on the end credits or whatever. So someone has donated 170,000 Hex, $55,000, $50,000. I just find that mind-blowing. And I just wonder how much people are donating. Production timeline, if you come all the way down, they want an official premiere and distribution, official movie premiere, location to be announced basically. They want to get it on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, media plan with the PR team and launch strategy. Listen, that's Q3 to Q4 of 2022. A year from now. If that happened, it would be extraordinary. So it looks like they're still not done. They still may be doing some recording. They're talking about exclusive coverage of Richard Hart during Pulse launch, additional character interviews, additional production as dictated by story finding, exotic locations, whatever that means. Here's what I think is interesting. They're still doing this, and they're going to be doing it from October to March. Clearly, there is an expectation that the Pulse launch is going to go really, really well. If you want to criticize Hex, you can criticize the fact that someone has used an OA address to support the project. But as someone who's an investor, that's not a bad thing to me. If I thought that would have happened, I would have been invested in it. But I feel like I'm seeing clues right here that it's going to continue to happen. And I believe that this community is tight enough and strong enough that at this point in time, there is a shared belief that Hex is solid and it is going somewhere. And I believe that we could be moving to a place over the next year where the OA address isn't going to need to do nearly as much for the future of Hex. That's just my belief. I could be wrong. I wonder how much money they're going to raise. I mean, if they raise like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, this is going to get very interesting. So the bottom line is I see what people can criticize if they want. Like all this money's being raised. There's no proof how the money's getting used. But at the same time, the project looks very interesting. The highest stakes, I think that's a great name. A great name. a documentary about the future you never saw coming. You never saw it unless you're in Hex. And what's crazy is, listen, in the beginning I got in Hex. I doubled my money. I got out. And I was one of those people that's like, I don't know. I know the AOA address is recycling Ethereum through the auction. I saw all of that. And it made me feel like it may not succeed. It may not survive. And now watching how long it's went, how much it's went up, paying attention to the community, who, by the way, many of them cannot stand me because I'm not just 100% fanboy. But I'm like, it's still working, guys. How long is your ego going to stop you from recognizing it's still working? I'm in the project. I don't have all my eggs in one basket, but I am definitely building out a staking ladder for the long term for Hex. I think the future on this thing could look very, very bright. Not financial advice. Don't take financial advice from an overrated YouTuber. Let me know what your thoughts are on Hex. What do you think about this documentary? Are you excited about it? Because truthfully, I'm excited about it. As an investor, I'm excited. I saw it. I mean, I was like, wow, this looks interesting. And I was kind of disappointed to see that it was only a trailer. I wanted to watch the whole thing. How many of you were disappointed to see it was only a trailer the first time? You're like, where can I watch this at? Oh, you can't watch it. It's not expected to come out for like a year. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. Hex is a decentralized platform, and that's one of the things that I like about it the most. Hey, thank you so much for watching. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.